hi everyone on this glorious morning in New York City. So happy to be here. I'm Neha Singh, founder and CEO of Obsess, and I'm going to talk to you about virtual shopping in the metaverse. But first, let's start by looking at how our shopping experience looks like today, right? This is a typical interface. If you go to any type of site, whether you're shopping for fashion or any category, this is what you see, right? It's a grid of thumbnails on a white background. And fundamentally, this is exactly the same as shopping for toothpaste on Amazon, right? It has not changed in 25 years when this interface was first invented to sell books, and now it's used for fashion, it's used for beauty, it's used for home. It's really used for every single e-commerce category out there. But the consumer has evolved a lot in those last 25 years, as we have already heard today. 59% of consumers today identify themselves as gamers, including 90% of Gen Z. So what virtual shopping in the metaverse looks like is completely different. We take this database-like interface, and in the metaverse, this becomes an immersive, visual, creative, and contextual experience that's really custom designed for every brand, custom designed for every category, and immerses the consumer in these environments, which are 3D virtual stores that can actually live on a brand's website. This is all accessible on mobile. It's accessible on desktop. You don't have to download an app. You don't require a VR headset. So this is really here and now, and this is a way to improve the online shopping experience for your physical products, for your digital products, for your virtual products, for your NFTs. But it's really about creating a whole new different experience for shopping for consumers online. This example is from Ferragamo, and they created a virtual villa, which is very much, part of their brand, but it's not a typical shopping experience you would find on Ferragamo.com, right? This is fully integrated with the e-commerce. As you tap on any product, you get all of the information. You can add the item to your cart. There's lots of embedded content in this experience. And what we see from the data is that the more content there is, the more consumers engage with it, right? And what brands are really doing now is kind of going beyond just replicating retail stores and virtual environments, but creating contextual environments, creating experiences that really make them stand out from all of their competition. And really drive discovery. Because if you think about today's e-commerce interface, it's great for like search filter, it's great for knowing what you want, but otherwise it's just an endless scroll. When you go to a retail store, it's a lot more about discovery. And so bringing those best of offline qualities together into the online shopping experience is what brands are able to do now with these types of technologies that are bringing shopping into the metaverse. At Obsess, we enable brands to create these virtual shopping experiences. We have created over 150 virtual stores, so we are the market-leading technology in this space. But we have the most amount of data in terms of how consumers behave in these experiences, what they're looking for, what works, what doesn't work, what types of products they buy, what types of environments work. So we will talk a little bit about what we are seeing in terms of how brands are using this technology and how they are bringing their shopping experience into the metaverse. And before I go into that, just quick note is there are typically two ways that brands are creating these virtual stores and virtual experiences on their sites. The first is that you can photograph an existing physical space, a retail store, a pop-up store, a showroom, and essentially virtualize it. So that's a way you can create a discovery-driven, very immersive experience online, basically by bringing your kind of retail experience now into online shopping. And then the other one is that you can create completely digital experiences that don't exist in real life. And here you can get really creative. You don't have to be bound by the constraints of the physical real estate or what you can do in a real store, but it can still look extremely photorealistic if that's what you want it to be, or it can have a game-like quality if that's what you want it to be. So this is where we really see the future of brands getting really creative and creating unique experiences for their consumers that connect with them in a deeper way. So the last part is how are brands using these virtual stores? We have seen a variety of different applications and use cases, and I'll just kind of quickly go through a few of them. More and more brands are starting to set up virtual flagship stores. And this is a trend we have really seen over the last couple of years and accelerating over the last year, where now you are creating this immersive visual presence for your brand online that really differentiates from just having a typical website. And these virtual flagship stores do live as part of your site. They're fully integrated with e-commerce. They're shoppable. So this is leading to direct ROI for brands today. We typically see higher engagement rates, higher conversion rates, higher average order values for consumers who are going through these virtual flagship stores on brand sites versus just going through the regular e-commerce flow. The second is that brands are starting to virtualize their physical stores, especially flagship stores. For example, this is the Maison Christian Dior perfume, which is their high-end perfume line, and they only have a couple of these stores around the world. And we've been working with them for over 2 years, where by virtualizing the store, they're able to bring this experience globally from Champs-Élysées in Paris. So this store, which is physically present in Paris, is virtualized and translated into everything from China, Japan, North America. And all consumers around the world can now shop this store without having to physically go there. So it's about increasing the ROI on the retail investment and essentially bringing a much wider audience to that. Brands are creating seasonal experiences virtually. That way they're able to create a fresh experience every season that's very much tailored to the inspiration for that collection and able to bring the story behind that collection to brands. Brands are using virtual stores and virtual experiences for product launches. We specifically see this a lot in the beauty space, where they are creating a new room in their virtual flagship store or a new experience around product launches, and then driving all of the marketing from social, paid, other channels, organic channels into these experiences that just perform in terms of engagement and conversion higher than sending you to a typical kind of grid-like landing page. For influencer collaborations, brands are using these experiences now because influencers are also looking to connect with their followers in new ways. This is a different type of content for them to promote on their Instagram and TikTok, and we have seen huge success with influencers who are curating virtual spaces or creating virtual stores for collabs and then promoting it on their channels and to their followers and driving traffic here. Oh, someone has music.
Darlings, this is so exciting. Welcome to my virtual gift shop in this amazing, beautiful gifting wonderland. Here we are together in virtual reality.
I had forgotten that one has an audio, but that's a perfect example because brands are creating avatars in their virtual stores. That was Charlotte Tilbury. She's in her virtual store. She welcomes you. She's in every room. She explains about the products. And we see, again, super high engagement from consumers with these avatars. And then again, it's all kind of connected very directly into your shopping experience. Brands are live streaming into virtual stores. You can both live stream into and live stream out of virtual stores and virtual experiences. And this is now a way where you can essentially create an event where people can, in this case, watch the runway show and they can shop the products, they can talk with each other. And now you're creating a space for them to assemble digitally and virtually that wasn't really possible before. And then I just want to wrap up with saying that we've heard a lot about the metaverse today, and these types of virtual experiences that can live on your e-commerce sites are really a very easy entry point for brands into the metaverse, because this is something you can do today. It works with your existing e-commerce. Your existing consumers can use it on your site. It just works on mobile. And then more importantly, you control the data from this, and you control the e-commerce transaction in these experiences. So it's a way for brands to very easily kind of step into the metaverse and give their consumers a much more immersive and engaging shopping experience and kind of bring them along in this journey. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neha. Okay, so we have 10 minutes for questions, so I'll get right to it.
Yeah.
What is the evolution of consumer habits that we're seeing? The question I get from a lot of brands is, what do consumers want to see in the metaverse in these immersive experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. So we did a large-scale consumer study earlier this year with Kantar about what are consumer perceptions of the metaverse. And the results were really interesting. What we found was that 60% of Gen Z consumers think that brands should sell their products in the metaverse. And the reasons why they think that is that 54% said that the top reason was that people should be able to shop anywhere they go online, right? And we know today, for example, users are spending 2.5 hours a day on Roblox, right? And so this is a significant part of their online digital activity, and the consumer expectation is that you should be able to shop where you are online. So that's kind of the number one reason. 45% said that metaverse environments should be like malls and they should be able to shop it. And 41% said that it should give consumers a convenient place to buy digital and physical products. So that is the expectation of the consumer. About like quarter of consumers said that they have already shopped in virtual stores and virtual experiences, and 70% of those said that they have actually purchased something from the virtual store, or they have purchased something from e-commerce or from a retail store after looking at it in the virtual store. So this, if you think about this interface, it's very similar to gaming. It's basically 3D, you move around the same way. So the consumer expectation is that this is how shopping should be, because this is how all my other digital activities are.
We're seeing less of a gap between our physical and our digital worlds.
Yeah.
So we know the consumer is ready. How mature are these marketplaces? Is it, or they're all the same? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few metaverse platforms today. Obviously, we are kind of very early in this stage at the moment. The biggest metaverse platforms today are the gaming platforms like Roblox and Fortnite, who we heard from earlier. But what brands really need to understand is sort of the differences between each of these platforms, the audiences they're trying to target. Also to know that, these platforms are closed ecosystems at the moment, meaning that you can't really link out of Roblox into your e-commerce site. So when you're thinking of creating a Roblox metaverse experience, it's really about, something that's self-contained within that environment. It's about selling avatar items. It's not really about selling your physical product. It's similar in Fortnite. And then, of course, there are the blockchain-based metaverse platforms like Decentraland and the Sandbox. But those are really small at the moment. They have very small audiences. So really, that's more kind of a wait and see, like how they grow approach is what we recommend at the moment. And then virtual experiences on your website are more things that, where it's integrated with your e-commerce. You control the transaction, you control the data, and you can use it to sell physical product, which is still, 99.9% of most brands' businesses. So it's just important to know sort of the different stage different platforms are at and what their capabilities are, and of course, watch and see kind of what becomes the most popular.
Right. And, we saw the evolution of brick and mortar to online shopping, and then came mobile, and then social. And we're sort of seeing this intersection of content, commerce, and social happening now. How do you think immersive is going to impact this dynamic?
Yeah.
The content and the creator economy and everything?
Yeah, I would say that it's really a natural evolution of technology. And, I'm an engineer, so I think of things from that perspective. But if you think about, today, all of our digital interfaces in terms of consuming content, shopping, we have become used to these flat screens and these grids, but this is not really natural, right? What's natural is the world is 3D. It's all around us. And over time, as technology becomes more powerful in the sense of CPUs and GPUs in our devices becoming stronger and stronger, and network speeds becoming faster, it's inevitable that our digital interface will continue to evolve. It went from being a large computer to a desktop to a mobile. And now it's really about how eventually digital interfaces will evolve into the point that they are very natural and more intuitive. And that's what you really see with the metaverse and with these 3D experiences. It's much more intuitive. Like we have some brands we work with targeted, toys for kids. And the kids spend more time in these experiences than anything else. It's very intuitive for them to use it because it's very natural. So I think, it's inevitable, in my opinion, that the interface is going to evolve to be this way. The way we consume content, the way we interact with each other is going to become more and more natural digitally through immersive presence, through immersive environments. And brands, just need to kind of see that in order to make sure that they don't get left behind, just like, brands who got left behind because they didn't move to e-commerce soon enough.
Great. And, what's your advice to brands who may be watching and a little bit overwhelmed at this leap from, e-commerce to immersive commerce? What advice would you have for them for sort of getting started and getting their feet wet?
Yeah, that's definitely the top question we get is like, how do we get started in this space? I would say it's definitely much easier now than it was, let's say, 2 to 3 years ago because of the, way technology has progressed. And really from the brand standpoint, the most important thing is to think about what is your visual representation of your brand going to look like in this 3D space? So, for brands that have retail stores, maybe they think of that as the visual representation of their brand, but it doesn't have to be. Like you could create a completely different kind of presence for your brand in the metaverse, and that to us is the number one thing because regardless of which platform, whether you're creating a virtual store on your site or on Roblox or Fortnite, ultimately you are creating a visual representation of your brand that is 3D and immersive. And the first thing to think about is like, what is that going to be? So it's a very creative exercise, and that's the strong suit of brands. So the technology, is there and will keep evolving, but sort of how you want to come across is the most important thing. And then the second thing I would say is like, just like everything else, look at the data. Like this, when you launch your new virtual experience, that is the starting point. That's when you can get data. That's when you can, use it to analyze and optimize your experience. It's not the end point. It's really the beginning of when you start to evolve your experience. You get feedback from consumers. You might have thought that something looks amazing, but maybe people are not finding their way through it or they don't understand how to navigate it. So because all of this is digital, we are able to collect data on every single aspect of the user interaction. And there has to be an iterative loop of like getting that data back into your experience and improving it.
Great. And I know you're web-based, you don't require an app to use your technology. How reliant do you think this future is on wearables and headsets sort of becoming ubiquitous, or do you think the web experiences will be enough?
I mean, that's a great question, and obviously something that the VR, AR world has been, debating for a long time. My opinion on it is that at least for the next 5 years, mobile will still be our primary device. Obviously, headset use will continue to increase, but it still has some way to go before it's a device that people are really wearing for an extended period of time. At that point, all of these experiences that I showed today will become fully immersive. You'll be fully in them. It will be even more awesome. Mm-hmm. But in the meantime, for us, what was really important is to enable brands and consumers to be able to use this technology today. And so having it on your mobile device, whether it's web or app, based is really, really important in sort of kind of building that bridge to the next level and just making shopping more fun and more engaging.
Great. Well, it's sort of trippy to see you up here because we used to work together, and I remember when Neha quit her job at Vogue, and a very good job, she said, I'm going to go learn VR because I think VR shopping is going to be next. This was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm up here interviewing her. It's amazing what you've built. So thank you so much for joining us.